Trudy gets abducted by aliens and meets the Godfather of Soul on today's totally weird Miami Vice. Missing Hours was directed by Dutch director Ate de Jong and was written by Hugo-winning sci-fi author Thomas M. Disch. This is the episode that's always used as shorthand for how Miami Vice really went off the rails in later seasons because, well, Trudy gets abducted by aliens. We open with Switek and Trudy conducting a stakeout on a porn dealer outside a movie theater. Izzy and Vice's old informant Noogie, whom we haven't seen since Season 2's Trust Fund Pirates, are also on the scene. They're dressed up as space explorers and are engaged in a sword fight for no reason other than a sense of madcap whimsy. A man carrying a shopping bag approaches the movie theater, then pants in distress when he spots Izzy and Noogie. He rips off his shirt and throws a bunch of jars of peanut butter at them, then dives through a plate glass window and dies. Even though the man, who turns out to be named Akers, sustained multiple lacerations, most of the cuts have magically healed on his corpse. Akers was found with a photo of a houseboat named the saprophyte on his corpse, so Trudy decides to do some investigating on her own. A saprophyte is a plant or fungus that lives off of dead or decaying organic matter, which probably doesn't have anything to do with this episode, but it's good to know. Trudy locates the houseboat and climbs aboard. It seems to be abandoned except for a cuckoo clock, a lot of electronics equipment, and 12 jars of peanut butter arranged in a circle. The sky turns orange, and a world-famous R&B singer named Lou DeLong, played by world-famous R&B singer and Godfather of Soul, James Brown, boards the boat, while Brown's 1965 hit, I Got You, I Feel Good, plays. For the rest of this analysis, I'm simply going to refer to I Got You, I Feel Good as I Feel Good, because I'm pretty sure that's how we all know it. When Trudy sees DeLong, we enter a strange montage featuring ominous skies, capped with a weird moment where Trudy's face is briefly superimposed over DeLong's. It's all very David Lynchian. This is a sequence that would not be out of place in Twin Peaks or in any of Lynch's films. Akers' wife Rona stops by Vice headquarters and asks to speak to Trudy about her husband's mysterious death. Crockett and Castillo are concerned because Trudy hasn't reported for work. Rona, who's played by Felicia Rayfield, tells Crockett that she and her husband were abducted by aliens in Nevada 2 years ago. She goes on to tell a deeply skeptical Crockett that she woke up several hours after the abduction with missing memories and a patch of hair shaved from the back of her head around what looked like a needle injection site. Crockett takes her to the coroner to identify her husband's body, but it has disappeared from the morgue. It turns out Trudy had released the body to a non-existent funeral home before the autopsy had been concluded. A young police file clerk named Carson pops by to tell Vice that Akers' case is a hot topic on a computer bulletin board dedicated to discussing alien abductions. Carson is played by a fresh-faced Chris Rock 3 years before he joined the cast of SNL and then go on to film and television stardom. Right then, Trudy strides into headquarters singing I Feel Good and sets the photo of the houseboat on fire. Trudy denies releasing Akers' body. She claims she and Lou DeLong were at a disco last night. Carson grills her on the details of her encounter with DeLong, but her memories are fuzzy, which Carson claims is classic memory displacement caused by an encounter with a UFO. DeLong, who claims to be a former UFO abductee, is conducting a seminar on UFO abductions that Crockett, Tubbs, and Carson attend. Crockett and Tubbs take DeLong to see Trudy. He's certain he and Trudy have never met, and Trudy is equally certain she spent the night with him, though she insists it was a younger version of him from his 1960s heyday. DeLong believes Trudy went through an alien abduction, and the aliens have given her false memories of meeting him. Castillo sends cops to investigate the houseboat, and all they can remember afterward is an unlikely tale of having coffee and donuts with 1950s sex bomb Mamie Van Doren. Crockett and Tubbs head to a motel to talk to Rona, but see her being abducted by two men in dark suits. When they try to pursue the kidnappers, Crockett's Ferrari stalls, and then they're bathed in white light from above until the kidnappers get away with Rona. A police psychiatrist hypnotizes Trudy to help her remember what happened on the evening she thinks she met Lou DeLong. She recalls strange visions of jars of peanut butter and cuckoo clocks and flames. And again, I swear I've seen this episode of Twin Peaks. Gina and Trudy visit the houseboat, where they find Rona Akers dead with a shaved patch on the back of her head. Gina notices that Trudy has a similar shaved patch, which causes Trudy to freak out. Tubbs finds DeLong sitting on a stump in the middle of a charred circle of radioactive Earth in the middle of nowhere. DeLong, who is there to meet with high-end sponsors of his UFO encounter group, claims the ring is caused by a UFO landing. Tubbs and DeLong are observed by two men in dark suits. As Tubbs leaves, he's trailed by the men. He turns the table on them, they flip their car, and he arrests them. The men claim to be government agents involved with conducting covert flight tests, which are often confused for UFO sightings. Trudy meets with Carson, who shows her some weird posts on the UFO bulletin board that feature an endlessly repeating series of coordinates. They go to the houseboat to use its electronics equipment to track the coordinates. Crockett and Tubbs head after them and find the houseboat being towed by a man named Travis, who is an associate of DeLong's from his UFO encounter group. Tubbs and Crockett board the houseboat and find Trudy and Carson dazed but fine. Crockett confronts Travis, who has court papers giving him legal possession of the boat, which was willed to him by Akers. As soon as Crockett, Tubbs, Trudy, and Carson leave the houseboat, it explodes. And Trudy wakes up in her apartment because this has all been a dream. She heads into headquarters and is shocked to find a jar of peanut butter and the photo of the houseboat in her desk drawer. This is often considered the worst episode of Miami Vice, which is simply not true. Off the top of my head, I can easily name 10 episodes I like less than this one. There's actually something interesting going on with this episode, especially if you ignore the "it was all a dream or was it" tag ending, which is pretty boneheaded. You can argue pretty easily that this episode, which is straightforward science fiction, has no business existing in the world of Miami Vice, and I would agree with that. But taken at face value, this is a pretty cool, weird tale of alien abductions in Miami and a possible government conspiracy to hide them. And while it makes no attempt to solve all the mysteries it sets up, for example, what's the deal with the peanut butter? I think it works fairly well. It's got a lot of offbeat stylistic flourishes that make it seem more like an 80s music video than a traditional episode, and it creates a pretty evocative atmosphere of dread. I like Chris Rock as Carson, the highly excitable young clerk who is obsessed with UFOs and who might be an abductee himself, and Miami Vice will never have a guest star bigger or cooler than James Brown, who, just due to his rarefied level of mega fame, almost has an alien quality to him anyway. I'm not saying it's a success, it's quite clearly a failure. I'm not even going to say it's not bad, but I like it, and I think there's more to it than critics usually give it credit for, and I'm giving it 3 flamingos. Next time, Crockett is swept off his feet by Sheena Easton, and Miami Vice will never be the same again. Meet me back here then, and find me on Twitter to discuss this very strange little episode, and I will see you later.